Hi everybody, I'm John and today we're going to be talking about doing the punch. Something I've just given it a name for this kind of, what I call this very punchy kind of sound. I particularly like playing at times, and as you can hear, it's got a really nice, it's quite a powerful beaty kind of sound. You can incorporate into some of your rhythms if you like. Anyway, the punch, what is it? It's this sound. You can hear it. It's got a very, punchy character to it. Now, I'm teaching this today because I think, there might be some of you out there that might like to try this. I first came across this kind of sound when I was listening to a CD of Plack Soames, and about 20 years ago now, and I heard it and I thought, wow, that's a lovely sound. I like that sound. And then I just mucked about, practiced, and until I found a kind of way of getting a similar kind of sound to what they were doing. I can't remember the CD I was listening to now, but it's worth checking them out and trying to, listening to that sound. If I can remember the CD, I'll put notes up afterwards on the description on YouTube. But anyway, I was listening to it and I thought, right, I've practiced and practiced, tried different things, and then I found a way to kind of get my own kind of version of it, really. And this is what I sort of discovered, and this is how I play it these days. The punch. So basically, you hear that little explosive sound. What I'm doing is I'm using my diaphragm. I'm going like that. It's quite explosive. I'm not really using a huge amount of force from my diaphragm, but it's contracting very quickly. It's going, and at the same time I'm using my tongue so that the air is released very fast through my lips, which are fairly tight. So what I'm actually doing is when I'm going and getting that sound, my tongue is just at the top of the ridge of, where the ridge of your gum is, the ridge of your top of the ridge of your mouth, and you put your tongue there. You can feel it. It's just on top, and it flicks down from it, so it's touching the roof of my mouth before I put this explosive burst of air through the didgeridoo. So basically my tongue touches it quickly just as I'm about to do the burst of air, and then it comes back again. So it's sort of going up, touching the ridge of top of the ridge of my gum, my mouth, and then it's flicking back down. You really need to just experiment with that to find exactly where your tongue needs to be. My tongue's not going forward, flicking forward. I find it easier to do this, flicking it, touching it, and then pulling it back quickly, and then it becomes automatic in time, really. So, I mean, rhythmic-wise, you can incorporate. You can just do straight sound. Or you can create a kind of rhythm. Again, that kind of rhythm, I listened to Plack Soames playing, and that was the kind of rhythm that it worked really well with it. So it doesn't, you can incorporate it into any kind of rhythm, really. But the technique, as I say, is tongue, top of the ridge of your mouth. You can feel it, that ridge there, and it's sort of just at the top behind it, and then it flicks back down. Anything else to add to that? So yeah, it's again my diaphragm here, and it's a fast contraction. It's actually a yoga exercise that people practice, where they contract their diaphragm like that, where they constantly practice bringing the diaphragm in. It's just a yoga practice. It's quite useful if you do this technique to practice that, and it can actually strengthen your diaphragm up. But I mean, obviously, be careful if you've got any health problems. You don't want to, cause any issues there. But if you're okay, healthy enough to try it, and also if you practice it, you should strengthen it up and do it slowly. Do it easily to start with. Don't overdo it. You don't need. There's not loads of air going through your lips. There's just a short burst of air. You get an extra kick coming back then, because all I'm doing there is dropping the jaw a little bit when I'm doing the explosive technique. So I'm going. That's the normal way, and then this extra little sound. It's almost going dua with it. But if you just do the first bit first, if you find trying to do the whole lot, don't bother trying to do the second bit. If you're struggling with the first bit, just practice with the first bit first, and then if you want to try the next bit, you can do the next bit. And as I say, coming back to the second part, to advance it a little bit, so you can go. So all I'm doing is going dua. So the jaw is dropping. And then I'm doing the explosive technique with it. Now it's a bit fiddly if you can't do the first bit. So as I say, I'm incorporating this together to keep it as one video. And then you can just practice parts 1 and part 2. Part 1 just being the explosive technique, and then part 2 being the bit if you want to try practicing your jaw. If you want to you can practice the second part, as I say, without the explosive technique, just to get the idea. I'm going do da. Don't worry about the da, but this is what I'm doing. Do da. And then if I do it with the explosive technique. And then I'm using the explosive technique. So I'm just calling it the punch because to me it's very punchy. As I say, if I can remember which which CD, Plack Soames plays a wonderful bit of this, what I call punchy sound. And the didgeridoo makes the difference you're using as well. So let me just comment on that quickly. I want to keep this video short, so don't want to go on too long. So this didge here I'm using is kind of like medium pressure bore. It's not tight, it's not really narrow, and it's not a really wide one. It works really well to get that punchy sound through it. If you're using a really tight conical bore, really narrow, it's harder to use the diaphragmatic punch. Or if you do it, you'd have to do it much more subtly because it'd be too much for the bore, But bigger bore didges, you can get away with more punch from the diaphragm because there's more, more sponginess in the air inside as it's expanding and compressing, if you like, and you can get away with it. With narrow bore, it won't work so well when you're using a certain amount of explosive air. It's just a short pulse, explosive pulse of air, and it's the technique really. When you do it, when you get used to doing it, you don't use a load of energy, but so it really comes down to technique. I can't think of anything else. Hopefully that's clear enough. Anyway, give it a go, and hopefully you enjoy having a practice and getting somewhere with this. That's it for the day.